because the other person speaking out and mustering courage is Tish James, along with Jack Smith in this news cycle. I have never seen Tish James really sound the note she sounded last night. But the idea that Donald Trump is going to roll over these people, or that these folks once targeted with what is clearly a vindictive prosecution, just going on the sights and sounds of his own appointees inside the Justice Department and these U.S. Attorney's office, is unprecedented in its own right.
So we're starting to see more of a pushback. Which is somewhat to be expected. We've gone from the talking about it stage of these prosecutions that appear to be motivated by retribution and have been forced through over the objections of career prosecutors into this stage of active prosecutions. We are likely to see John Bolton, the former national security advisor, charged next. We don't know about Adam Schiff in Maryland on another mortgage fraud case. But this is a necessity now. You've pushed people to the back wall. You've hit marble, right? In order to defend themselves, their reputations, and perhaps even their liberty, these people have got to start talking out. So what's interesting about Smith, Letitia James, I've observed as a politician for probably 25 years. We're both from Brooklyn. This was fairly characteristic of the way that she's spoken about Donald Trump in the past. Obviously, there's a great urgency that wasn't there before. But the Smith conversation, for those of us who covered him and essentially had to sort of feed upon old transcripts and see him speaking before the criminal court in The Hague, I think we maybe got 100 words out of him at 2 press conferences.
Yeah.
It was just fascinating to see how not only confident he was, but how much he appeared ready for battle. And I'll tell you something, over the last few months, I've been talking to Republicans on the Hill who were expressing a lot of concern about having Smith appear in public. That is why I think the House, Jim Jordan's Oversight Committee today requested from Jack Smith that he do a transcribed interview behind closed doors. They don't necessarily, and I'm not asserting this as my opinion, this is what Republicans have told me, they do not want that Jack Smith to provide video clips of the type that he just provided to Andrew Weissmann.
Well, on that note, let's play another one.
These are people who are not self-promoters. They do not like to tell their own story. They cannot start a sentence with I. They start that with we. These are team players who don't want anything but to do good in the world. They're not interested in politics. And I get very concerned when I see how easy it is to demonize these people for political ends, when these are the very sort of people I think we should be celebrating. The people on my special counsel team were like that. The idea that politics played a role in who worked on that case or who got chosen is ludicrous. And Andrew, and this is another thing that I think if you're not inside the U.S. Department of Justice, the idea that politics would play a role in big cases like this, it's absolutely ludicrous, and it's totally contrary to my experience as a prosecutor.
The most salient thing that he points at is the truest thing, that I think anyone that has either worked in the government, I worked in the government, and after 9/11, trying to get Bob Mueller to do press to talk about the things they were doing to keep the country safe was near impossible. It was easier to get things declassified from the CIA than to get Bob Mueller to do a press roundtable. And then the notion that any of these people is comfortable defending their place in a democracy. They're head down people. I mean, what is the Pandora's box that has been opened by this, retribution campaign on steroids that the Republicans in the House and Senate have greenlit every step of the way?
Look, to embrace the cliche, we are in terra incognita, uncharted territory here. We don't know how the heck this is all going to play out. I mean, the one thing that the dynamic that is shifting is we have witnessed the sound of one hand punching for 7 months. Most of the individuals that are involved and have been targeted, and I wrote about Chris Meyer and Walt Giardina. They were kind enough to talk with me about their experiences in being fired. They were very, very reluctant. It took me quite a long time to get them to even agree to an interview. These are FBI agents. They tend to be extraordinarily reluctant to speak in public and more wary of the press than they are of government officials. But I think what's going on right now is the damage to these institutions is so profound. And the direct influence being exercised by the White House so significant that I think you are going to see people speaking out more and more. Now, how this all plays out in public, how the American people respond to that, I think is very much an open question, because this is an administration that has proven really adept at providing one side of the story to its constituency. So I don't know what the impact is going to be, but I hope and I think we are going to see a greater multiplicity of voices and more of a public response from the individuals who are being accused of politicizing the Justice Department and FBI.
And Glenn, your interview with those two agents is distinct from your coverage of the lawsuit. There's also a lawsuit from three of the most senior FBI agents. As that sort of roars forward, and that also is a direct response to the purge of the FBI's senior leadership, that will have public phases of it as well that will thrust this weaponization of the FBI and DOJ into the headlines in ways that Trump and the Republicans can't control.
Yeah, I think we've got, and by the way, we are just now also seeing dozens of lawsuits and appeals before various boards for these dismissals of both career FBI agents and also DOJ career officials who were dismissed, remember, on the legal theory that the Article 2 of the Constitution gives President Trump the right to fire people without cause or investigations. So in addition to some of the more high-profile cases, I think you're going to continue seeing both through appeals boards and other legal action, more and more information coming out about the way that the department's leadership is acting. But Nicole, the one thing, and you and I have talked about this a lot, is are people paying attention to this?
Yeah.
Is this being relegated to this sort of boring bureaucratic fight that both sides always have? This is an extraordinary circumstance. And I think what makes it distinct now with Smith coming forward is he, by default, is probably the most important voice in this debate not coming from the Trump side.